All right, so I'm here with Jas Takhar. Jas, thanks for being here.
You know, a lot of people have a tough time with my last name. You fucking nailed it, brother.
Nailed
so
it.
Congratulations.
Thank you, brother.
You're obviously doing some type of research, so I appreciate it. But
Huge win.
all joking aside, brother, I appreciate you accommodating me and coming here to my office.
Yeah,
I know it was a trek for you, and so what that generally tells me, because for your viewers and listeners that don't know me, I know that no matter what, you're gonna be consistent with this content, like in terms of actually putting it out, educating. I don't know if you're focusing on real estate agents, on investors, on home buyers, home sellers, whoever, the world, you're going to be consistent with it. And the reason I say that is because the second I said, man, I can't make it out over there, can you come to my office? You took the hour-and-a-half trek here. And so not a lot of people would do that.
Thank you.
And you did, so kudos to you, man.
Well, thank you so much. And I know that you've been in the industry for over 20 years, educational expert, the GTA real estate team. Tell me a little bit about your business, what you do, and how you empower people.
Yeah, man. There's a couple of different ways. So I'm a co-owner and co-founder of REC Canada. That's a real estate firm that helps home buyers, home sellers, and specifically investors. I got about 62 agents. We have about 6 support staff in that organization. And our company model, so to speak, is leading with education. So we put on a lot of educational events, content, just teaching people that, look, not to say that real estate is the best investment, but we like to think that real estate is one of the best types of investments that you can make. I think personally, the top investment you can make is in your own self, because you're going to get the highest ROI for the longest period of time. But investing into real estate, what that does is actually give you an option that's quite easy for people to get involved. Like, you know, I think the biggest mistake I made when I got into the business and even thinking about investing into real estate, I thought you had to be like downtown Toronto on King Street, Bay Street, be in a boardroom, you gotta be wearing a suit, because those are the investors. Because you think about this like the institutional investors,
Absolutely.
right? What real estate allows for is regular Jazzes and Sams to get in. You don't have to have a lot of money. Having capital is going to definitely speed up the process of creating wealth, but you don't need to have as much as you might think you need to have. And so that was fantastic, and that's what we're teaching other people now, is that, look, if you, like my parents, my father was a taxi driver his whole life, my mother being a factory worker, just blue collar workers, and you can get into investing into real estate. It's easier than you think, and now we're just trying to spread the word to as many people as we possibly can. On another organization that I lead is known as From the Ground Up, which is a sales solution company for real estate agents specifically. It will obviously I'm going to be going wider in terms of the target market for other salespeople, but I figured I might as well start with realtors because I'm one, and I've been doing it for a while. So to your question, Sam, and your viewers and listeners are going to start to realize, like, I like the sound of my own voice, bro. I'm going to
keep talking.
It's going to be quite easy for me to keep going. Where that company is really educating real estate agents right now how to design your business around your life, and not the other way around. You don't have to run around with your head cut off doing everything. There is an easier way. It's not going to be like you get licensed, start practicing, and you're going to be rich tomorrow. That's not what I'm trying to talk about.
Not in Jamaica in the next week.
Exactly. You're not going to be chilling on the beach, right? You can, but it just takes some time. And so, yeah, man, I mean, I'm having a blast. I really get to live the dream, bro. I'm the color of the skin that I am. I speak the way that I speak. I dress the way that I dress, and I'm not trying to conform to anything. I came to realize a long time ago, some people are gonna like me, some people are not, and so what? I'm just trying to attract the right people, repel the wrong ones because I don't want to waste their time. I don't want my time to be wasted. And I'm just having a lot of fun because I get to do it with a lot of cool people. You know, I got Nicky here behind one of the cameras. I mean, he's been with me for a few years now, 4 or 5 years, I think, coming up to. I have my kind of right-hand person, Laura Stewart, who's VP in one company, partner in another. I got my left hand, Tyler, who's my waiter downstairs at Jack Astor's 8-9 years ago, and who I've watched him become is such a treat. Like, this guy leads essentially my 300 to 400 transaction a year business, aside from my team of 62 agents, like just what we do in these walls, he's leading it, you know? And it's just cool to see that. None of us really had the education. Like, we didn't have a formal education per se. We apply. You can see a lot of signs around here that say ready, fire, aim, because that's to remind us that let's not fall in paralysis by analysis too much. Real estate investors do it all the time. Honey, let's go run the numbers and then we'll pull the trigger. The deal's gone.
Let's go talk to Uncle Bob at the barbecue. Tells us never to invest again.
100%, right? Agents do it even more. I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna take my time to take a course, take a program, try an event, try shooting a piece of content, try doing a podcast. They don't actually do anything. Where what we recommend is pull the trigger and then adjust along the way. And then you can see if you're too far left, too far right, too high or too low from the target.
Version 10 is always better than version 1.
100%, man. And look, I think we were lied to as kids, right? That practice makes perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect. No. So what are we trying to accomplish here? What I think is actually even better is then perfect is done. Done. Right? You do it, and then as I mentioned, you can adjust along the way, but come to realize that practice actually makes progress. So to your point, your 10th podcast should be better than your first.
Absolutely.
You know, your 160-second video, chances are is going to be better than the first. Like, I'm 211 episodes deep on my podcast now, Sam.
Checked it out this morning, actually.
Okay, I appreciate that, bro. If you listen to my first 7, it sounded, and I started this 4 years ago, it sounded like I was going through puberty. Like, you can hear the inflection in the voice. I think the right word is inflection, right? In terms of audio. Like, you can hear it going up and down.
Right.
Because I was nervous.
Yeah.
But now, like, there's 3 cameras, Nicky has 1, but I'm a little disappointed that there's not 14 cameras on me right now, because I like all the angles, right? And I like to clip. But I wasn't comfortable with it at the start. My first 18 episodes of my podcast, I didn't even have a camera on. I was scared shitless. Yeah. I was worried. I had the insecurities. But what I realized is that most people are not actually thinking about me as much as I think that they're thinking about me. Why? Because they have their own shit. You're listening to me right now, but you're probably thinking, I wonder what everyone's on the other side is thinking about me, right? Like that's normal.
With them, right? What's in it for them?
Exactly, right? And then you come to realize over time, everybody has their own shit, man. Yeah. And so if you can focus on what makes you happy, the money will always follow. I think that's where people got it twisted. They go chase the money first. So then one of 2 things happen. Number 1 is that you actually get the money, and then you realize it never was going to make you happy. Number 2, you never really enjoy the process because it's not something that you really enjoy, right? Where me, I'm a kid in like the candy store. I'm a pig in you know what every single day, because I don't really care that much about the money. You can tell, like, you know what I mean? Like, I wear something similar every single day. I'm not a fancy guy. Not to say that there's anything wrong with the finer things in life, but for me, it was always making sure that I get to enjoy the process. What am I doing on a daily basis, and who am I doing it with? That, for me, is actually the definition of success. Getting to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, every single day. That's when the real magic happens, because I'm okay to put in the extra 4 or 5 hours a day, where the normal average person might put 8 to 10. I'll go 14 and 16 hours, not because I believe in hustle porn. I'm not trying to sell that. It's just because that it's not like work to me. Now, it's going to be really hard for the average person to compete against me, because I'm doing something that I enjoy. And so it never feels like work. I put in the extra hours. it's not the 4 hours a day. It's actually not even the 20 hours in a week. It's not even the 80 hours in a month. It's what happens in a year and over a 2-year and a 5-year period. It's going to be very hard to compete, especially if you have the patience. Especially if you have the patience for it to all kind of play out, then you realize, holy shit, all the profits are really in the patience.
So it's more of a process, like you said, enjoying that process, underestimating what you can do, overestimating what you can do in 1 year, but underestimating what you can do in 3 or 4.
I've always loved that, right? Because so many people, investors, are always looking for the quick hack.
Right.
Agents are looking for the quick hack. And it's like, okay. And I mean, in general, right? People say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in the next week.
Yeah.
And so they go on some crazy ass diet.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, no, okay, or I'm gonna triple my business this year.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you're doing 2 deals and you gotta get to 6, I get it. We can do that. But if you're doing 25 deals to get to 75, that's not as easy, man. Right? That's not as easy. However, if you look at it, what you could do in a 5-year period, if you just increase your business by an extra, say, 20%, right? Now you're going to be able to get to 100% a lot quicker. And because you've given yourself more time to do it, the chances of you enjoying it are going to be a lot higher.
So let's talk about, too, you said your team. You've empowered a lot of people. You've led a lot of people. What did you learn about leadership and empowering others to succeed? Because obviously you haven't done this all alone. You've been able to really empower people to succeed at a high level for you.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. Number one, it sucks sometimes. It really does. Because you are sometimes alone, right? Like no matter what, like if sales, for example, in both of our organizations don't happen, yeah, the sales guys will be a little disappointed because they're making less. But at the end of the day, I gotta take that home with me. I gotta take that home with me in terms of making sure that the lights stay on. I have people in leadership roles. As I mentioned, like in my real estate side, I have a VP with Laura, I have a director of team operations, I have Tyler. But they're gonna get paid no matter what, right? Where I have to take it home when our sales are not at a certain point, right? However, on the flip side, I've always known that you can go really fast by yourself, but you'll go a lot further with people. Yeah. And so where I am now, especially because I suck at 97% of things, like I also know myself, right? Like,
yeah.
For all the confidence I have in speaking, ask me to write everything, I suck. I can't put a paragraph together. I have a very tough time writing in sentence structure. Half the words I'm saying I don't know how to spell, right? But because I know that, I don't spend a lot of time in worrying about it. Right. I just hire around me.
Hire around yourself.
I can't edit like our boy Blake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
Blake's going to take this, cut it up, make it look sexy. I can't do any of that stuff. I can press record and that's about it. Yeah. Right? All these pieces of art that are up here, don't even ever ask me to put this up. The team knows, don't put a hammer in Jas's hands. I will make calls. I don't know what I'm doing. It just does not make sense for me.
Right.
Get me on a phone call. I'll call anyone from somebody that I just meet outside or tell me to go reach the president. I'm going to try to reach the president. Okay? Tell me to shoot a piece of content, do a podcast, in my sleep. I'm very comfortable, okay? Really selling any product or service, very comfortable. That's the 3%. Right? That gift of gab, the charisma, the ability to speak with people, whatever you want to call it. I guess like I was obviously born with it a little bit. Definitely the DNA of my parents. I have 2 older brothers. That's always a healthy reminder that you're closer to the bottom than you are to the top. I'm 41 as we do this recording. I have a 46-year-old brother and a 50, almost 1-year-old brother. They see me all over the place, but man, when we're drinking and just out for dinner, like they'll humble me real quick, right? And so being around them is also, when I was 16, I was hanging out with 26-year-olds because my brother used to take me around. When I was, 10, I was hanging around with 20-year-olds. I remember him sneaking me into a nightclub when I was like maybe 13, 14 years old, a couple of times, right?
Right.
That also allows you to kind of understand, oh, okay, like this is how to be a people person. And when it comes to leadership specifically, what I've really come to learn in the last couple of years is giving more autonomy. Like I maybe, up until the last 2 years, I lived a day of like, Jas, do you have a minute? And so I always called it, my day consisted of the death of Jas, do you have a minute? Do you have a minute? You have a minute? You have a minute?
Yeah.
That's how kind of my day consisted, right? Because everybody was asking me for the answers, which is at start, you kind of want to work your way up there,
Yeah.
right? Because you want to be the person who brings the most value to
Yeah.
the table. But the shift that happened 2 years ago was, you know what, Tyler? I don't know. What do you think? You know what, Laura? I'm not sure. Like, what do you think? I don't know, Nikki. What do you think about doing? And then what starts to happen when you flip it, they have to make the decision. Because whatever decision they made, I also come to realize it was a 50-50 fucking chance that it was going to work out or not.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm like, Jesus or God that I can walk on water.
Yeah.
So I was all the time, like most of the time I'm making it up as I go. Right? And so once I allowed them to make the decision and live with the consequences of it, they can't really be making a decision that's going to tear my business down.
Yeah.
What happened is now my day's changed. It's like, hey, Jas, just so you know, we did this, and this.
Off your plate.
Hey, and I'm like, great, no decisions to make. I'm making like 3 or 4 maybe decisions in a day. Right? And so that is where the next phase of leadership has come. That's what I'm in right now, because I have this 13 elements of success. The 13 elements of success is like the periodic table.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand the periodic table in science. I left. I didn't go to class that day. And so I made my own little like 13 my success table.
Love it.
And the top of the success table is an element and the acronym of LDL, which is leaders developing leaders.
I love that.
Okay? The bottom, the most foundational one is why we call our company From the Ground Up. It's FTGU, From the Ground Up, because you got to build it in a strong foundation. But the top of the success table is LDL. And that's when now I'm having a blast watching Laura lead the staff, Tyler lead the staff. Because they're developing other leaders, but they're also being developed themselves.
Leaders multiply, right?
Leaders multiply, right? And so, yeah, like it's been a really, it's actually probably been the most fulfilling aspect of my business life. I'm a father to 2 boys. Anybody who watches my content, most people don't even know that I'm married with 2 kids. That's pedestal stuff. Like nothing ever comes close to that. But the business aspect, it's a lot of fun watching these guys make decisions now, and they have to, when things don't work out, watching them take that home, right? It's nice. It's like now I'm starting to feel like, okay, I'm not as alone as sometimes I felt in the past.
So be able to grow more with empowering others and knowing that they already have the answer already within them, they can figure that out.
Yeah, I don't know if they have the right answer all
Maybe
the
not the
time,
right answer.
right? I don't know if they have the right answer. I think it all really comes down to belief. For me, anyways, man. Like not like I've had so many insecurities. As everyone does, some are just better at hiding them than others, in my personal opinion. But once I started believing in myself, and I've had so many people around me that have believed in me as well, but the grand slams in my life didn't happen. I was hitting triples and doubles and some home runs, don't get me wrong, but the real grand slams happened the day I started believing in myself.
So let's ask you something real quick, unpack that. What holds people back, limiting beliefs or programming or whatever, holds people back from taking action? It could be investment property, it could be building a team, it could be creating a successful podcast or team like yourself. What would you say about that?
I think it's a few things. Number one is because somebody told them that they weren't enough. They were not smart enough, they're not beautiful enough, they're not handsome like Jas enough, they're not, that was my joke for the podcast. They're in general, they're just not enough, they don't have enough. And I think once you come to realize that you yourself are enough, now it's just up to you to find the resources, that's when you can start to actually see results. And so number one is that someone just told them a long time ago that they weren't enough. Unfortunately, it probably came from a parent, maybe a teacher at a young age, a guidance counselor, or, a family member. Then I think as you get older, you start comparing yourself to other people, right? And you start to look at, especially in today's day and age, you look on social, you see people like in your age group, maybe they have nicer things than you, but you really don't know their backstory, so you don't know how they got it. And not to say that they were spoon-fed it, but you don't know how hard they worked.
Yeah. They don't show the struggles on social media.
100%.
Lamborghini in the parking lot.
That's all you see.
Rented or
right?
owned.
Now, it might be rented or not, and it might
It's
not
fine.
be. It might not be.
Yeah, sure.
But what we don't get to see is the actual work.
Right.
Right? And then I think it's the thoughts, really, in between, like the 6 inches between the 2 ears are the most important. Because that person never shuts the fuck up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All day long. You're showering, you're in your car, even while you're talking to people, that person inside the head is yippity, 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 yapping. Now the question is that person negative or positive?
Yeah.
Is it a negative thought or a positive thought?
I heard something powerful the other day was if you're honoring what you say you're gonna do, you're quieting those negative voices.
Yeah, I think so.
And you're allowing those other voices.
Yeah, I think it's putting in the reps, right? It's putting in the reps. Like,
reps.
I might not be able to go lift like 300 pounds right now and do 7 reps on it. I can't even probably do 1. I know I can't of that kind of weight. But I could in time. So the power of the thought is the most important, because your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions.
Yeah.
And your actions will then determine your results.
Absolutely.
And so if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts, that's what, you call it whatever you want to call it, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, we'll say, no problem, here's more of it.
Here's more of what you're focused on.
It's actually a law. It's called the law of vibration. So if you're on a negative vibration, it doesn't know the difference if it's a negative or a positive. It just gives you more of that. It's like gravity. It doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. That book is going to drop.
Yep.
So if you believe in this law of vibration, it means nothing. It's a matter of understanding, though. You will always get more of what you think about. Whatever you think about. So if you're having not the results you want right now, you just got to look back 30, 60, 90 days, and what thought patterns were you in?
Yeah.
So now that doesn't mean that I'm always walking around positive. 99% of the time I am. When something negative does happen, how long are you staying in it?
Yeah. Are you resonating with that energy?
100%.
Are you observing it?
100%. So we kind of have a rule around here.
Yeah.
We'll let you for 90 seconds. Okay? We're not always good at it. Okay? The 90 seconds maybe maximum goes to 90 minutes. Otherwise, you got to get out of that. Because if you don't, you're going to try to bring me down, and you're going to bring the people around us down. Now, most people around me anyways, if you're in that for 2-3 days, I'm going to find a way for you to leave. There's just no way I can take you not having certain skills. I actually don't even care. Skills are a commodity. I can teach anybody something, because I know I can find the person who knows something. So Nicky, if he's great at fucking editing, he's a commodity, unfortunately. He himself as Nicky is not a commodity. His skill set is a complete commodity. There's a million of him out there. His attitude, though, will determine how long he stays here. Right? So if he stays in a negative attitude around here for 3-4 days, I'll find a way out for him. Because I'm not worried about myself. My force field is quite strong. I'm worried about Laura, Tyler, Luke, Jesse. I'm worried about him bringing down Alex, vice versa. Any one of my other guys, if they're in a negative vibration for too long, we have a conversation. If it doesn't change, sorry. This is just not the right place. Not that we're the end all be all. But there's something in between these walls the second you walk into here, and it's just a fast-paced, very positive energy room that we've built, and now we're very protective of it, because it's so important because the skills are such a commodity, it's hard to find good people. Excuse me, people that are in a positive attitude all the time. It's tough, man. I think that's probably one of the toughest things that we go through, trying to find those kind of people. But you got me off on a tangent because I love that stuff. Like everything I have in my life is based on all the thoughts and feelings I've had.
Well, it's important because there's a lot of, whether you're talking to a client about a real estate decision, investing, further in your life, quite often there's a programming there, or they go back to someone who's not an expert, and then they let that person rule that decision, which affects so much more of that pathway of that next 3 years. And
Yeah, look, I think it's quite easy to understand that success leaves clues, right?
Yeah.
It's just our job to pick them up. There's a lot of multi-billion dollar real estate investors, millionaire real estate investors. There's a lot of multi-millionaire and billionaire salespeople. It's a matter of finding those and then reverse engineering that for your style.
Right.
Right? Just because somebody did a bunch of Airbnbs, if that doesn't feel right for you, there's other ways to do it as well. But let's not forget that somebody did it. Somebody was able to do it, and last time I checked, they breathe the same air as us.
Yep, I heard you say
maybe
that
the
this
air
morning.
quality in Toronto is not as good as, I don't know, India or something. Well, India's probably worse, specifically Punjab. But they generally put their pants on one leg at a time.
Yep.
So they're not that special or that different, right? It's a matter of understanding, first and foremost, that if someone else has done anything that you're looking into doing, you no longer have an excuse.
Yep.
You no longer have an excuse. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because I do know people who came from like some really, 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 really hard times.
Yeah.
And bad shit happened to them, man, like, you know, in their homes and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm not downplaying any of that. But if some other person got out of that situation and made it into a positive, my question to you would be, what's your excuse now? Right? You don't have any. If Yolanta got out of it and you know her, then there's no reason why you can't. Right?
Yeah.
And the only reason is that your ambition, your work ethic is not matching your ambition. You're saying that you want a lot, but you're not willing to put in the work.
Do you feel like I don't have a strong enough why or purpose or connecting with that as well?
100%, man. The why is what, like when I speak to investors, the first question I ask them, why do you want to invest?
How do you empower your clients to get off the sidelines because there's a lot of elements there. There's programming, there's limiting beliefs, there's lots of things there. What do you do to empower them to take that step so then they feel that they're doing it for their own purpose?
So I don't know if it's anything that I say. It's a great question, man. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that because I can't remember going through this. You know what I think we do really, really different?
Yeah.
Is we bring other investors
Okay.
onto our like into our events, onto our content. We showcase a lot of other people's stories, right? So much so, 2 years ago, we do a once a month webinar where it's called Brunch with REC, Real Stories. So we just bring on investors that actually have invested into real estate and they actually tell their story. So this way, Nikki can see what Yolanta did, Yolanta can see what Nikki did. And if Yolanta didn't see that in herself, maybe now, and what we've come to really realize, okay, she sees Nikki do it, but that's not what makes the connection for her. She sees Tyler do it, still didn't make the connection. Now she sees Chi-Chi, my investor, do it, and that's when it clicks for her. Like, oh my God, there's something about Chiquita that I just resonate with.
Values or whatever.
Could be anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Anything, yeah.
Could be anything.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we do a lot of, like, I'm really trying to go back in my hard drive here, but there's not a lot of raw conversations I have with my investors. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I just don't really do a lot of that. What I say is, let me just bring all these people that have invested, take a look at them, and look how they're just regular people. Like, and then I'll ask them, I'll say, hey, Dale, what did you do before you invested, or what do you do? And he's gonna say, I'm a transport something. You know what I mean? He told me
Operator,
today,
shipping,
actually, but I just don't remember.
Yeah,
Transport, logistics, right?
it, yeah.
And okay, so now I bring another investor on. Hey, what do you do? I'm a nurse. Hey, what do you do? I'm a taxi driver. Hey, what do you do? I'm a this. A common theme starts to happen that they're not necessarily doctors and lawyers and engineers. We have doctors, we have lawyers, we have engineers, but they're just regular people, man. I love my real estate investors. I've been working with them for 19 years now. And when they buy their first property, it's so nice to see, but it pales in comparison to see Yolanta make her first phone call. Because I now know she has a shot at it.
Yeah.
If she does something with it, I don't know. We have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But now I know she finally made the phone call where she maybe thought that was the toughest thing to do. And for her, maybe it was at that time. But to watch that happen and unfold, it's so fulfilling, man.
It's almost like a transformation daily because you're recommitting every single day.
Yeah.
And you're pushing past all the programming. I remember the first mindset course I ever did. There's the loud voices of programming, right? Open house or follow up or whatever, right? And that applies to so much in life, right? Empowering, making decisions, getting
It does, man. And I think a lot of people, when you said making decisions, and it gets me in trouble sometimes, for sure, because sometimes I'll make too many decisions too fast, but, and when I say get me in trouble, what I mean by that is then there's some cleanup to do.
Yeah.
That's what I really mean. But what I've come to realize is that because I'm able to make decisions so quickly, I'm able to adjust along the way that much faster, but I can do more things. Like I can just do more things because I'm making decisions faster. So I always tell people, like, if you're in a circle of friends, what's the one most common question that circle of friends talk about almost every day? Hey, Blake, what do you want to eat? Hey, Nikki, what do you want to eat? And generally speaking, Blake and Nikki, not them specifically, but people will say, I don't know, whatever. That's a very small thing, but there's a problem with it.
No intention, yeah?
No intention, where I take it, though, Sam, is that you're starting to train the brain not to make decisions.
Huge. That's huge.
Right? So next time, as small as it is, when someone says in your friends group, your partner at home, honey, what do you want to eat today? Whatever you want, or whatever. I don't know, just go on Skip and order it. I actually want you to make a decision. I want you to say, I feel like a burger. I feel like jerk chicken today.
That's huge, yeah.
Right? Why? Because you're starting to train the brain to make decisions.
Yeah.
Small, but you start with small. If you can't make small decisions, I got news for you, the bigger ones are going to be that much tougher to make.
Yeah.
Right? It's like saving money. People are like, when I make 100 grand, I'm going to save 10 G's. Fuck you, you are. If you didn't learn how to save $1 out of 10, there's no way you're saving 10 G's when you make 100.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
The habit starts small.
Yeah.
I got my little
muscle.
phenom, like, God bless his soul, Luke. He's 22 years old. Like, he's gonna take what I'm doing to the next level because he's born, like, he just has it. He has the full package as long as he keeps his head on straight. But as I watch him make money, right, what I'm worried about is exactly that, which is that, all right, let me spend it on this, let me spend it on this, let me spend it on this.
Shiny object syndrome?
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, he's 22 years old. I can't blame the kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I was 22 as well. But I'm like, Luke, I'm not telling you to save all the money, bro. I'm just saying, can you put 10 cents away on every dollar?
So do you help instill their values so then they don't get off course and drift?
100%.
When you do that?
Oh,
yeah, 100%.
You can't be around me and I'm not going to... I like to do most of the talking. Right? I do a lot of listening, but I definitely want to do most of the talking around here because I've seen it already. I made the money already. I made the money. Let me just help you get through this.
Get through this.
Right? Like, when we're talking about sales, there's maybe 2 people on earth that I would even take a call from in terms of new tips and strategies. This is all I've ever done in my whole life. Right? So there's not a lot of people that I need to listen to try new things. I don't get that shiny objects in.
Yeah.
I don't get it because I already know what works in sales. Make as many phone calls as you possibly can,
absolutely.
and it's a numbers game. It has been, will
Process.
always, for the test of time, like until AI robots take over, the more phone calls and connections, when I say phone calls, I mean connections,
Relationships.
you have a better shot at it.
I've had people you haven't even met, but then they now talk to you, you connect with them on a personal level, you build that rapport, now they're opening your emails. Now they're engaged with your marketing, right?
And
it
if you-
happens.
Well, what most salespeople don't do well is follow up. It's, if somebody's not going to buy from me today, maybe I'll follow up next week. But after that, they never follow up.
Yeah,
Because it's like, I want the business now.
yeah. Instant gratification.
Instant gratification. And what you need to understand with sales is that it's the average person, depending on what product and service, but if we're talking real estate specifically, the average person needs to be followed up on 17 times. It's a national statistic in the States, and Canada's very similar in that sense, but 17 times you have to follow up. That means you might need to follow up with somebody, if that's the average, you might need to follow up with somebody 34 times before they actually make a decision. Most salespeople don't get past the second follow-up.
So they don't realize it's not just about the end results, it's about adding value. And I find that, you're so passionate about changing the industry, because I find there's still a lot of, other brokerages that come out and they're just about undercutting and not about value. What do you do to make sure that you're always giving value to your people, to your database, to helping your agents?
I think it's
as well?
education, right? I think it's education. So I've always had the thesis that a customer in any product or service they're buying, but obviously the larger purchases, I was in car sales for 3.5 years, right? Yeah. So after real estate, I think car sales is like the next big purchase, right? An educated and informed prospect / client is just easier to deal with.
Yeah.
But how do I educate them and inform them? You could do that through a myriad of ways, right? Back when I started, there was no such thing as a podcast, right? Nobody really did like videos, that wasn't around. So we always did events. And we still do the in-person stuff because I think belly to belly is important. But to answer your question, how we bring value, that's through our content, our events, our emails, which again is still content. We have a concierge service that we came out with 5 years ago, where any one of our clients, it's absolutely free. It's a real estate concierge service.
Yeah.
I always like to make sure
that.
people don't call us to book a hotel. But we'd probably help with that. Where if somebody needed, like we make outbound phone calls, 150 a day, to just our warm database. And we call and we say, hey, Sam, just giving you a shout, bro. Did you need a plumber? No? Did you need an electrician? No? Do you need a landscaper? No? Okay, awesome. Do you okay if we follow up in the next 4 months or so, just to double check? Hey, quickly, Sam, now that I have you on the phone,
yes.
I'm just curious, bro. Like, where's your headspace at with what's happening in the marketplace with all these interest rate changes? Like, and then you're gonna say something, whatever you say, and
How's the
then
market or
that
whatever.
call kind of just goes somewhere, and sometimes it goes nowhere. And then when we make that call in 4 months again, hey Sam, I'm just calling again. Remember I called you 4 months ago? I just want to know, like, did anything change? Did you maybe need a painter? I got the best painter in town. His name is Blake. Like, he's gonna help you out, right? And then we make that connection. We don't charge for that. And the reason we do that, because we want to bring the value, is because anything that's happening around their home, I want them to think about Jas.
Okay. Subconsciously then. That's huge.
So we send out emails that subject line is forget Google. And the body is about,
awesome.
hey, rather than Googling painters in your area, just call us. Just call us. We'll find you a painter. You could be in Timbuktu, Saskatchewan. If you're in the country, in Canada, we will help you. We'll help you find someone because we want you to think of us.
So if they have the concierge, by you contacting them, it reminds them to review the value of the concierge.
That's it.
Be a connector.
That's it. That's it.
Huge.
Where we know, we call it the hub, like us being the hub, and then if I make a connection to Blake the painter for you, Sam, in my database, well, Blake the painter is going to start liking me too now if I send him Yolanta and Nikki as well. And then he's going to maybe think about when he wants to invest into real estate, that good-looking Indian guy, he's always sending me people. You know what I mean? Let me call him to invest.
I love that.
That's what actually, truly, really happens in real life.
Yeah.
Like it's not a dream world I'm
Yeah,
living
yeah,
in.
yeah.
This is what
It's
we
not,
do.
do you want to buy, sell? Or, yeah.
So that shit used to work in the
Big
70s and
90s,
80s, right?
right?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And you know, God bless them because
Yeah.
like,
They paved the way
They
somehow.
paved the way 100% because what I realized, and I'm going to talk about it more like in this program I'm running for agents right now, where I'm going to remind them that is what I think they think when I tell them they're going to make phone calls.
Right.
Like they think I'm going to make them call their friends and say, "Hey Joe, you want to buy a house today?" And Joe's going to be like,
That sounds
"Nah, man,
ridiculous.
like stop calling me."
Yeah, I'm a judge. Like, I gotta go, right?
Like, you know, I did some live calls for my group today, so
Yeah.
like I couldn't have scripted this any better. And I think I maybe connected with like 4 or 5 people or something. And half the people were like, "Oh my God, Jas, it's you calling me. I listen to your podcast. I watch your content, yada, yada." The other half were like, "What? Who are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, we send you emails." And they're like, "I'm not sure if I know you." I'm
Yep.
like, "Who cares? I got you on the phone now."
Yeah.
Literally, I'm like, "Who cares? I got you on the phone now. Are you okay to talk to me for like 30 seconds?
Yeah.
I'm not an ear duct cleaning person, I promise you."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not trying to sell you that. I'm just actually inviting you to an event. And this is what the event is about. And it's free. We're going to have some vino and we're going to have some cheese.
So you almost become, that hub becomes an extension. So if they need to build wealth or they need help with something, so it could be, we call it a MOFR, a message for immediate response.
Okay.
So it sounds like a marketing, like a message, right? So they need to understand how to invest. Now you're going to be an extension of your concierge
100%.
to help them with an event coming up on investing.
100%. I mean, we
That's cool.
we want them to think about us when they think the word real estate, something around their house.
Right. Real estate.
Like
yeah.
whatever it is, we want them to think of us. Okay, I'm going to reach out to them because they'll know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody.
Right. So it's adding value, and it's not necessarily attempting to convince them. It's just giving them value subconsciously, as well as, you know, being that concierge, being
Right.
that connection.
And that makes sense now when you asked me the question as well, Sam, because you said like, how do I get people to take action in terms of investors? And I told you, it's nothing that I really say. And now I know, like, it came full circle, the conversation, because I'm just there.
Yeah.
I'm reminded, I don't know if some of your viewers and listeners might not know the Seinfeld episode, but I'm a huge Seinfeld guy.
I remember Seinfeld, yeah.
Stanza. Blake, you know what I'm talking about, bro? Okay. So like, what
Blake's
he did,
laughing too.
yeah. So what he
I
did,
remember he
what
used to watch
George would do
Seinfeld.
is leave something of his at a girl's house every time he was dating because he wanted the girl to think of him.
That's so funny.
Okay, that's kind of what we've done.
That's his concierge.
Yeah, that's like REC. We just want them to keep thinking about
Right,
us. You know what I mean?
right.
Something
Yeah,
comes
I love
up.
that.
REC. Oh yeah, REC has it. REC has it, right? Which I actually even seen the shift happen. Like, it took me about 2 years where it was like Jas, and I have a business partner, Simos, in the real estate company. It was like Jas and Simos, and I was like, okay, I gotta make this switch here. I gotta get them to say REC because then that allows me to scale. That's where I knew where I was going.
Yes,
I knew
yes.
my real true passion lies with salespeople.
Yeah.
Like
building.
I could do programs and talk to salespeople for 24 hours a day. You cannot shut me up.
100%.
I have so many stories. I have so many strategies. I have so much to give in that sense. So I knew I needed to not let my clients think of Jas and Simos or Laura or Tyler. I wanted my clients to be like REC, REC, REC. And I think that's happened. Like, you know, when we hear people emailing us and at events, like they'll say REC more than anything else. And that makes me so happy because now, like, it's not the Jas show. I'm kind of out.
Yeah.
You know, we have an event coming up.
It's not the Royal LePage signature, it's REC, even though the Royal LePage is
Yeah,
great,
it's
but-
funny, right? You said Royal
You know,
LePage,
but
right?
some people do that, right?
Yeah,
They're just like,
100%.
yeah.
But so we have an administrator at Royal LePage Signature that calls our clients to do like the final paperwork,
Right.
the buy, like the working with realtor and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Or the FinTrack, sorry.
Yeah.
And she will call and say, hi, you bought property 123 Main Street here at Royal LePage Signature. And they're like, what?
Who's that?
Who's Royal LePage Signature? I never bought a property. I bought that with REC. They think we're
That's
the
awesome.
brokerage.
You're the Kleenex for the
100%.
Yeah, I love that.
100%.
I love
So that's
that.
been really cool to see that shift happen
That's
recently,
cool.
man. Yeah.
So shifting a little bit, that's amazing. When it comes to real estate, like is legacy planning or building a legacy, What are your thoughts on as real estate being a vehicle to build a legacy for someone's family? It could be anybody in any part of
I think
the
it's
life.
awesome, man. I mean, some people use the word legacy. I probably use the word more like generational wealth.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's an amazing vehicle. It's definitely allowed me to create a lot of wealth because I go back and use my properties as ATMs. I go back, refinance them, pull out equity. In our country, it's one of the only legal ways not to pay taxes when you sell, because you're not selling anything.
Yeah,
right?
you're just taking the money out.
Taking money out. I go buy more properties with that. I'm not that guy again. Like, you can do anything with that money. You go to Niagara and put it on black or red if you want.
Yeah.
You can buy cars. I just buy more properties, and then if I decide, at some point I will. I'm 41. I'll make the decision if I'm going to cash out and either distribute it to charity or whatever, or if my two boys are nice, they might get some of them. Like I laugh with my 9-year-old all the time. He's like, Dad, we have properties. I was like, no, son. We don't have properties. I have properties. Like, let's get that.
Yeah.
Really, like, let's really understand it's Mom and Dad have them. You treat me like a dick, you ain't getting anything. That's just the truth. Like, you're not gonna, because I didn't grow up like that. My parents didn't buy any properties.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And so I have the option though. That is called freedom. I have the option to give it to my kids. I have the option to continue to grow the portfolio.
Right.
If I really wanted to, I could stop refinancing, right? And in the next 10 years, I'll probably have all my properties paid off and I can just live off the rent.
Yeah.
I could. I don't think I will because I'm a little bit more ambitious than that. And so, yeah, man, like that generational wealth it's tougher with other things. Look, I mean, I know a lot of people who make millions and millions of dollars. Like I personally know them through like investing in stocks and stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't have $1 in stocks. Not because I think it's wrong. Mm-hmm. It's because I don't know the game.
Yeah.
Right?
You gotta know the game.
For me, just real estate, I maybe I read this somewhere, I can't remember that. Like 90% of millionaires own real estate.
Yeah.
So that rang true to me and for me. And I also realized, okay, you know what? It's the one thing that everybody needs.
Absolutely.
Like, you need to live, somewhere.
Yep.
And so why don't I just, especially if I'm able to provide that, right? And I'm not talking on like philosophical stuff. Like I'm talking as an investor, as a, like, I obviously sway towards capitalism.
Yeah.
I like it.
The government wants that for you.
Yeah, right. It's the only way to like really have a true pension plan too, man. Like in our country, I don't know if that's going to be around in 30 years, right? And so you got to find ways to protect yourself. And real estate's one of the best. And it's proven again. Time of this recording, we're in almost April of 2023. Yeah. You can, with inflation going up, real estate protects you against the increase of inflation as well.
More money being printed.
It's more money being printed. Yeah. Okay. People still, rents have continued to gone up. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, we've seen a little value in dips, but that's normal. And once you come to realize that real estate values go up and down upwards, you can actually take advantage of that now.
Yeah, you were saying on your podcast, there's a trend line, 30 years. 4%, 5%.
Well, I usually go 40. I usually
4 years.
Yeah, I go 40 years in the GTA.
GTA, yeah.
Okay, so I say GTA 40 years, 7.2%.
Wow. Yeah, and your market's higher than our urban region, so that's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, your area is amazing, like what it's doing in terms of appreciation and stuff like that, and it should be because, I mean, I know Toronto has a massive tech boom, but so does Cape.
You're a great immigration hub. People do disperse from there, right?
Yeah. And that's what I love about the GTA. Like when we actually locally think about the real estate markets, the GTA gives you something that I just don't think is apparent in other places. Maybe Vancouver, but we know that 50% of people that come into this country, they come into the GTA. Southern Ontario, if you want to call it, but they come into the GTA.
Right.
So we have, I think, 452,000 people slated to come into the country this year. In 2023, we know 220,000 of them are going to come to the GTA. Out of those people that come here, we also know that 30% of them are going to live with friends and family.
Yeah.
Okay? 30 to 40% of them are going to rent. That's great for investors. Those are your customers. And then 30% of them are going to buy. right? And so as long as people keep coming in the GTA, we're on this island, can't build north of us, can't build really south of us, significant subdivisions. You can only build upwards.
Yep.
That means that high demand, low supply, economics 101, values go up. And so if you as an investor can just be patient and not think about day trading real estate like a stock and looking at the values every day, which will give you a conniption. Like you'll lose, first of all, it's hard to track anyways, right? Like on a daily basis. If you just see real estate in a 10-year window, a beautiful thing starts to happen. Again, I'll talk about specifically my market, but look at it right across the world. It's going to be similar. In the GTA, every decade, and I'm going to give everyone a massive sample size, 100 years. So every decade, values double.
Like Rule 72, right? 15 years.
Now, we got lucky in the last 4 years, 5 years, values quadrupled, but let's put that on the outlier side. Let's just look at 10 years. 10 years, you buy something today, on average, $1 million, it's going to be worth $2 million. Now that sounds like I'm on some type of drug when I say that, but they thought I was on that drug when I was saying this 10 years ago, and I was wrong though, because it happened in 4 years.
Yeah.
Right? It happened in 4 years, but if you look at it in 10 years from now, and that's why I love content, because it's recorded so you can go back to this.
Absolutely.
Is that 10 years, it's going to be $2 million, but $2 million is not what $2 million is today.
100%.
Because of that silent killer called inflation.
Yeah.
So bread, I don't know what bread is, like $4 maybe now, a loaf of bread or something, you know what I mean?
20.
More than 4.
Is it more than 4?
Probably
So
25 by the time.
yeah, okay.
Like 8.
It's $8 now? Holy shit.
6 to 8.
Okay, yeah. So, okay, so call it $6 for argument's sake. In the 10 years, that's going to be worth 10, 11.
Yeah.
Right? So everything goes up in value. The nice thing about the real estate, though, is that in that time period, someone's been paying down your mortgage.
Yes.
In the same time frame.
I think people miss that because when they go to resurface the debt, they refinance. They say, "Oh, you know what? It's not cash flowing $400-500." They're not looking at the other profit centers of real estate.
100%.
How do you explain that to someone to show them that there's a different ROI when you look at those other two?
Yeah, so I actually look at it that you win in 4 ways when you invest into real estate. You have the passive appreciation. You buy something for $1 million. In 10 years, it's going to be worth $2 million.
Yeah.
Okay. Then what I also the other 3 ways that you win in real estate is by the principal pay down, the mortgage being paid down. So actually show somebody an amortization schedule and say, look, in this first year, this is how much principal got paid down. On average, on a $500,000 mortgage, you're probably looking at about $10,000 every single year of principal being paid down, okay? The second way that you can the third way, that you can possibly win with investing into real estate is the cash flow. You have all your rental income, you minus your expenses, you have your $400 a month. But in your questioning, it was if it was negative. I'm going to touch on that in a second.
To resurface the debt.
Okay? To resurface the debt.
Yeah.
But the fourth way that you can also win is actually force the appreciation. How?
Right.
Best way to add value to any property is not the kitchen, is not the bathroom, all that stuff is nice, the cosmetic stuff. It's actually adding an income suite.
100%.
Okay, add income to the property.
100%.
Income suite meaning in the basement apartment, or add another income suite on top of the home.
Yeah.
By far, okay? So that's called forced appreciation. So those are really the 4 ways. There's a 5th way, right? There's 6, 7 ways that you really win. I won't get into that though. But the 5th way is the tax benefits that you get.
Yes.
Okay? Because when you refi a property, you don't pay any taxes.
Absolutely.
As long as you don't sell, there's no capital gains, there's nothing. Okay? As well as when now, to your point where you have a negative cash flow, here's what I tell people. Let's say you refi and you pull out equity out of a property.
Yep.
Let's just work with easy numbers and call it $100,000. Okay? Say you pulled out $100,000 and now the rental income no longer covers your expenses and you're negative by $300.
Yep.
Okay? The $300 equates to $3,600 at the end of the year. If you're not even increasing your value by 7%, say that you're increasing it by 3% on an $800,000 property, that's $24,000 on one way, on one side. $10,000 of principal recapture that's being paid down.
34.
Okay, you're at $34,000. Now, negative cash flow, and say you didn't force the appreciation by any means. You got $34,000 coming into your right pocket, like literally into the right pocket, and then you have the $600 going out of your left pocket. You're still up. You're still up in the long term. And here's the other thing when I said about tax benefits. That $300 you're putting in a month, it's actually you write that off.
Yeah.
Because it's a loss.
Yeah.
Okay? The other thing that people I think forget is that if you and I and Blake, let's just say us three went to Jack Astor's right now, and we did have a couple of beers and some nachos.
Good.
Blake wanted a couple of beers. And we had some nachos and some burgers.
Yeah.
We would probably spend about $300 with taxes and tip.
That's true.
Nobody thinks about that $300, but yet when you had to pay $300, don't forget about the 100 G's that you got in your pocket tax-free by refinancing.
Yes.
So to get $100,000 and to pay $3,600, the question isn't if you should do it. It's how many fucking times can you do it?
100%.
Like how many times will the bank allow you to do it?
100%.
Because how many times can you qualify to do it?
Yeah.
Right? So for me, it's like, man, I'll put in $300 to give me 100 G's. Oh, and I still own the asset of 800,000.
I love that. I love that.
Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm paying $300 a month and I own an $800,000 asset. It's mind-boggling when people lose their shit around, no, I'm not gonna invest into this because I gotta put in $300. But yet you spend $1,000 on your car, which is a liability. It doesn't even make you money. Like, it's not an asset.
Yeah.
Oh, actually one other thing. Your actual principal residence, that's not an asset either.
Yeah, yeah.
Like really it's not, because it costs you money every month to service. So that's not also an asset, like a true asset in that sense.
So you almost want to use fake money to buy real assets.
100%.
The more money getting printed.
100%, man. Look, as long as you can have a stomach for it and pay the $300, and have the stomach for it, again, the question is how many times can you do it?
So would it be fair to say as an investor, like let's say you had a portfolio of a few properties and you had one that wasn't doing well and you were going to invest somewhere else, then would it make sense to sell that ugly duckling, if you will?
I think definitely, man.
Okay.
Like
That could work.
here's why I don't generally sell my properties, and even right now, like again at this recording, I'm servicing because I was on a variable. I'm on a variable rate, so I have to service it, right?
Yeah.
I also know that on a variable rate over a 15-year period, the variable rate is going to be lower than the fixed rate over time. Just that's what history has shown us. I know that. However, in terms of selling, the reason I don't sell some majority of the time is because I know what I'm going to do with the money. I'm going to put it back into real estate. I'm not going to take it into stocks. There is sometimes a chance that I'll put it into the business and stuff, but most of the time I'm going to put it back into real estate. I've already acquired the property. I don't want to sell it and then acquire another one.
Okay, I love that. I love that. Is there anything else you'd like to add? I think we've gone over a lot of amazing content.
No, man. I think for everybody who's watching and listening, give this man, especially if you're in my community, give this guy a follow on whatever platform you're watching. The kids like to say, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. And if you're watching on Instagram or you're listening on a podcast like Spotify or Apple podcast, make sure to give Sam a follow. Share this with your friends and family. If you're part of his community, it's not enough anymore just for you to be watching and listening. Share it with a friend, share it with a family member, share it with a colleague, because you just don't know what one little sentence, it might be the one that somebody needed to hear. Sometimes it's not even hearing something different, it's hearing it from a different voice. Maybe, hopefully, I was that voice for you today, and so make sure to share it with a friend, colleague, and family member.
And I love that point about forced appreciation. Like a lot of people don't talk about that fourth way and that fifth way. They talk about the three things, but they don't emphasize those other things that people can really make a lot of money. And so when you're calling your people, you can say, hey, do you need a guy to help you add an income suite? Are you looking to get through this? And that's very relevant for these times.
100%.
Amazing. So where can people find you and reach out to you if they...
I'm not hard to find, man. I do
I know.
18 to maybe 20 pieces of content a day.
100%.
Google the name. I'm sure it's here somewhere. And just Google me. Find... you decide how you want to consume me. I'm on video, I'm on audio, I'm in the written word.
That's awesome, Jas. Really appreciate the time, brother.
Thank you, brother. Hope I brought some value to the conversation.
100%. Thanks
awesome.
so much, man.
Thank you for having me.